Namaskar and warm greetings to all present and watching and to those present at this ETCIO BFSI conclave. Thank you for inviting me to speak here today about strengthening digital connectivity. I understand that is the topic and that is the subject that is being discussed and deliberated. Let me just start by saying that on the 8th of July or 7th of July, when I was given this responsibility by the Honorable Prime Minister, I had two portfolios assigned to me, two tasks, two responsibilities. One was, of course, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, and the other was the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. And in a lot of ways, they had a very strong common thread in that it dealt with and addressed the aspirations of a large majority of our youth of our country. And so it is with that brief and mandate that I have approached most of the work and efforts in both the ministries ever since that day. And that is also one of the reasons why we are deeply excited by and passionate about the future of Digital India and indeed Atmanirbhar Bharat. If you go back to 2015 and when the Honorable Prime Minister unveiled his vision for Digital India, he broadly talked about Digital India and technology achieving three very broad objectives. And I think it's worthwhile for this audience to sort of rewind and revisit those three objectives. The first one was that technology, and this he was very clear about then, he's very clear about today, and he's very, very clear about even looking forward into the future. That technology and Digital India must impact and transform citizens' lives. And that meant it should improve and transform democracy, it should improve and transform governance, and clearly be a catalyst into improving citizens in our democracy and their lives. And the second objective was the objective of expanding economic opportunities and creating more opportunities for entrepreneurship, and by doing that, expand the digital economy and have that be in turn be a catalyst on our roadmap to the $5 trillion economy. And the third was that India would evolve into being a leader of the world in a number of strategic emerging technologies by building capabilities and capacities that were deep and broad in terms of both numbers and in terms of both specialization, that we would be able to drive the future of technology, if not as leading it, but at least being amongst the leading pack of nations rather than being, as we have been for several decades before this, being a follower and adopter of technology. Now, if you look at these three objectives and you look at objective number one, which is the issue of transforming the lives of our citizens, I think you will agree without a doubt that we have achieved tremendous progress. The Prime Minister's vision and expectation that technology must work to the good of the citizen has demonstrated itself in many, many ways, whether it is the Jan Dhan Yojana and the JAM Trinity to deliver subsidies to the remotest of citizens without corruption, without leakage, in a speedy, responsive manner, which for many, many years people thought was impossible to do in this country, that corruption around subsidies was a given in our democracy, was the thinking for several years, several decades of our existence as an independent nation. And technology and the use of technology by Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government has effectively dismantled that status quo vision or status quo thought about subsidies and corruption and governance. We have also seen that in the second objective, that about transforming, sort of expanding the opportunities in the digital economy, India has traveled significantly in expanding the digital economy and creating opportunities of entrepreneurship. I will not repeat this in too much detail, but you are aware that we have clocked a high rate of growth in our technology services part of our economy. We have created more unicorns than any other nation during the COVID pandemic. And we are receiving today the FDI and foreign direct investments into the tech sector higher than any other nation in the world. So it is safe to assume today and come to a conclusion, and I think all of you will agree with me, that in a lot of ways, the vision that the Prime Minister laid out in 2015 in terms of technology and its implementation and deployment and its proliferation in this country have turned out to be force multipliers to the goals of growing our economy and creating opportunities and transforming governance and democracy. So as we today in 2022 celebrate 75 years of our existence as an independent nation, we celebrate 2 years of our resilient fight against this global pandemic, and we look to the coming years, it is clear that even to the most cynical of observers of technology, I think it is very clear that technology will just grow and deepen. The intensity of technology in our lives, in governments, and in businesses is only going to intensify, and you can see that trend of acceleration of the intensification of the digitization process of almost all models, consumer models, business models for enterprises, small and big, and for use in governments, in governance. So in this context, strengthening digital connectivity, making sure every Indian, from the context of India, is able to come online, be part of the internet technology opportunity narrative, or in the inclusion narrative, is an important strategic goal, strategic mission for the country. And it is clear, it is clear that India today, with over 80 crore Indians online, or 800 million Indians online, is one of the largest connected nations in the world. But it is also clear that at the same time we have 40 crore or 400 million Indians that still need to come online and still need to be connected, and therefore we can also be called one of the largest unconnected nations in the world. But given the progress of BharatNet, the world's largest rural broadband connectivity project, it is also our mission that we will end up connecting the remaining 40 crore Indians and bring them onto the Indian internet in the next 2 years, making India without a doubt one of the largest countries in the world. And if you exclude China's intranet as being nothing but a fenced off a wide network, and you look at open societies and democracies around the world, you will come to the conclusion that India is going to be, and India is and will be, the largest connected democracy and largest connected country in the world. So connectivity traditionally is viewed through the prism of connectivity, infrastructure, pipes, the internet pipes, and that is not necessarily an untrivial or non-trivial task. But I think we have a clear roadmap for those pipes to be laid and people to be brought on the internet. There are several other aspects of onlining Indians and making sure Indians, 1.2 billion Indians, are all included in the internet opportunity and included in the governance solutions that are going to be increasingly proliferating on the internet. And that is, how do we keep the internet, given that there will be women, children, pensioners, employed professionals, and every other demography of the Indian population will be online. How do we make sure that the internet remains open, the internet is safe and trusted, and that the internet is accountable to those who are doing business and those who are providing products and services online to the citizens of India? And this is a particular policy challenge for us at METI and indeed the government of India, that we would like not just to bring more and more Indians online and give them the power of the internet and transform their lives and transform their opportunities, but also ensure that we have a policy framework and an overall approach to keeping the internet safe and trusted or open from domination by a few big tech companies, and also accountable in terms of legally accountable to the users. In this, and you know, most of you are, I understand, from the financial community, and therefore you will understand this if I present this proposition through the prism of a financial user. India has done tremendous progress and is among the leading countries in the world to adopt digital payments, and it is clear that from the recent budget announcements that the government sees this roadmap of digital payments expanding and even eventually including RBI-backed CBDCs in the form of cryptocurrencies that are the RBI-backed cryptocurrencies. So, and in digital payments and as commerce and industry and transactions and business come increasing online, the proliferation of cyber frauds, threats to financial integrity, all of these are relevant user harm that will manifest itself, are manifesting itself, and will continue to grow. So this question of how do we keep the internet safe and trusted requires us to relook at our legislative framework, and I have recently spoken about this, that maybe it is time for us to engage in an active discussion about a new digital law that addresses not just the issues of connectivity and regulation in terms of quality of service and many of these intuitive issues, but also addresses the issue of user harm, criminality online, making sure that users have a right, as they have a right in real life, to be also safe and secure in the cyberspace. There is a lot I can say about this. This is an area that I'm, the topic that I'm sure all of you are very passionate about. I am very passionate about it as well. But commerce around the internet, digital payments, transactions, businesses, small, big, large, all of these are only going to proliferate and increase more. We are clear as a nation that we want to be a leading, preeminent nation in terms of digitizing our economy. We are also clear in our mission that we want to be amongst the nations to lead the charge into Web 3.0. But doing all that must also involve adequate thought, adequate discussions, adequate discourse, and jurisprudence and laws that ensure that the experience of the users and the citizens remain always that of positive experience, and we achieve our objective of keeping the internet always open, safe and trusted, and accountable. With those words, I will stop speaking. I'm again happy that you invited me here to speak today. I hope my comments here have left some things behind for you to think about. We are clear, I think, as citizens of the country, we are clear after this COVID experience that hopefully will never be repeated on the world again, that we have gone through the most significant black swan event in our lives, where lives and livelihoods were put at risk in a manner that was unprecedented. And we have as a nation come out of that with some spectacular resilience and a tremendous sense of confidence about the future. And I think that confidence must cause us, as the Honorable Prime Minister has said repeatedly, to look at the future with a reimagined set of goals and objectives in terms of what we can do as entrepreneurs, as businesses, as citizens, and as a nation. And I think the opportunities that are presented in front of India today, and India's entrepreneurs and India's government, by the rapidly expanding digital space around the world and the appetite for digital products and solutions around the world represents for India unprecedented inflection point in our trajectory of growth and prosperity. So again, thank you all for having me this afternoon. Thank you. Jai Hind.